The writers of The Sopranos told you exactly who would die. They told you in the opening minutes of Season 6, Episode 1, immediately after the opening credits. With the names of the characters announced over a piece of spoken word music almost no one bothers to decode. For almost 20 years, the most rewatched show on television has been hiding the clearest piece of foreshadowing in modern TV history right where you stopped paying attention. Open the first episode of Season 6, Members Only. Before Tony gets shot by Uncle Junior. Before Gene Pontecorvo hangs himself in his basement. Before the rats start dying. There's an opening montage scored to a single piece of music, and most people remember it for one image. Meadow Soprano dancing for her boyfriend in her underwear, and write the rest off as moody atmosphere. The rest is the whole season.
The ancient Egyptians postulated.
The track is called Seven Souls, from a 1989 album by the band Material. The narrator is the writer William S. Burroughs, reading from his novel The Western Lands. The text is a meditation on ancient Egyptian belief that a human being is made up of 7 souls, and that at the moment of death, those souls leave the body one by one in a fixed order. 7 souls, 7 departures. As Burroughs names each soul, the camera cuts to a specific character in the Soprano universe. The pairings line up with the lyrics. One character for each soul named, in order, top to bottom. Once you see the pattern, the rest of the season plays out like a list being checked off. Start with the parts nobody can argue with.
Is Ren the secret name?
The first soul Burroughs names is Ren, the director, the one who frames your life from conception to death. The camera shows Janice breastfeeding her young daughter. She's the source, the mother, the continuation. The show is putting her at the top of the sequence for a reason, and it has nothing to do with mourning her. The second soul is Seacom. Burroughs describes Seacom as energy, power, the one who presses the right buttons, the button man. The show stacks 2 characters under this single soul. First, the camera cuts to Bobby Baccalieri, playing with his model trains. Then it cuts to Gene Pontecorvo, at home, opening the letter that tells him he's just inherited $2 million and can finally walk away from the life. Both of these men are button men. Both carry out hits this season, and both are dead before the season ends. Gene hangs himself from a beam in his own basement by the end of this very episode, 40 minutes after the camera names him. Bobby is gunned down in the penultimate episode of the entire series, shot multiple times inside a hobby shop while buying a vintage Blue Comet model train, his body collapsing onto the train display he loved. The fourth soul Burroughs names is Ba, the heart, often treacherous. He compares Ba to Samson, the hero brought down by his own deceit. On screen, Ray Curto, walking a treadmill while watching TV. Ray Curto is the longest-running FBI informant inside the DeMeo family, a rat, a traitor, and Ray Curto dies of a stroke, a literal failure of blood flow to the brain, sitting in a car, mid-recording, talking to his federal handler. By the end of this same episode. 3 characters, 3 souls, 3 deaths. Call it whatever you want. The show is reading from a list it has already written. It gets stranger.
Number 5 is Ka.
The 5th soul Burroughs names is Ka. The Ka, in Egyptian belief, is the double, a kind of spectral twin, a second self. The poem specifies that the Ka departs the body in adolescence. On screen, the show cuts to AJ Soprano in one of his college classes, the second Anthony. The death being predicted here isn't physical. AJ makes it to the end of the season breathing, employed, in a relationship. The teenager who started season 6, sneering, depressed, useless, disappears after one specific scene. Late in the season, in an episode called The Second Coming, AJ tries to kill himself. He ties a cinder block to his ankle, pulls a plastic bag over his head, throws the block into the family pool, and follows it in. He fails. The rope is too long. The bag tears off. AJ thrashes in the water, screaming for help. Tony arrives home, hears him, dives into the pool fully dressed in his suit, and hauls his son out, cinder block and all. AJ emerges from the water, still attached to the cord, sobbing, while his father wraps him in his arms and calls him baby over and over. If you've watched the show twice, you've seen the image. A young man pulled, weeping, still attached to a cord, from a body of water by a parent. Chase films the whole scene as a birth, and from the next episode forward, AJ behaves like a different person. The nihilism softens, the whining stops. He starts buying CDs to teach himself Arabic. He starts talking about joining the army and going to Afghanistan. He's still half-formed and confused, but But the adolescent ego, the ka, is gone from the body, exactly as the poem said it would be. The takeaway here is something to carry into the rest of the sequence. This show counts metaphorical deaths the same as literal ones. Keep that in mind for the next 90 seconds.
Number 3 is Ku.
The third soul Burrow's names is Ku, described as the guardian angel. He, she, or it. Third man out. The screen cuts to Meadow Soprano, dancing for her boyfriend Finn. This is where the theory splits, and where the entire ending of The Sopranos starts to come into focus. The simple reading is that the opening sequence pairs characters with souls that depart. Meadow is the third name on that list, so Meadow dies. And the only place that can happen is the diner. Cut to black. End of show. The more interesting reading is that Meadow herself is the guardian angel, and what dies in the finale is her ability to guard. There's a pattern across the series worth tracking here. In season 6, when Tony gets shot by Uncle Junior and falls into a coma, the long Kevin Finnerty dream sequence climaxes with Tony standing outside a glowing house full of dead relatives, about to walk in. He gets pulled back at the last second by his daughter's voice, Meadow, calling to him from the trees outside. Her voice is what wakes him up. Go back further. The college episode in season 1. Tony spots an old mob rat in witness protection while Meadow is doing campus interviews in Maine. The rat figures out he's been spotted, tracks Tony to the motel, and is about to take the shot until he sees witnesses and family in the room. He stands down. Tony's daughter being there is partly what keeps him breathing that night. Now the finale. Meadow tries to parallel park outside Holston's. She struggles. She backs out. She tries again. She finally gets the car in, runs across the street toward the diner, and the screen cuts to black before she reaches the door. She doesn't make it inside. Whatever was protecting Tony for 6 seasons is not at the table when he needs it. There's another layer underneath this one. By season 6, Meadow has already turned into someone her younger self would have hated. She's engaged to the son of a made guy. She's switched from medicine to law, and she's heading toward a defense practice that represents the kind of men her father is. The Meadow who once talked about her father's life with disgust has, by the end of the season, started framing it as persecution. Whatever angel she was, she's been burning out long before she ever pulls up at Holston's. A guardian angel can fail without dying. Sometimes, all it takes is being late.
Number 6 is Kahabit.
The sixth soul Burrow's names is Kaibit, the shadow, the memory, your past conditioning from this life and other lives. On screen, the show cuts to Carmela's dream, and inside the dream, Carmela is standing in the wooden skeleton of her new spec house, smoking a joint with the ghost of Adriana, who slowly fades out of the picture. Adriana has been dead for almost 2 years by this point. The shadow, the memory. The line says it out loud while she fades.
Is Seku.
The seventh and final soul is Seku, the remains. What's left after everything else has departed the body? On screen, Carmela. Carmela is the remains. This is the cleanest part of the whole theory, and the part the show effectively confirms. Of the 4 people in that diner, Tony, Carmela, AJ, Meadow, only one of them is, by the poem's logic, supposed to still be standing at the end. The original family of 4 cannot survive season 6 intact in any reading. Tony is gone, or about to be gone, the moment the screen goes dark. The textual case is overwhelming. Bobby's earlier line about how you probably don't even hear it when it happens.
You probably don't even hear it when it happens.
The cut to black mirroring years of foreshadowing. Take your pick of evidence. AJ, the adolescent AJ, already died in the pool. The adult AJ who walks into Holston's is, by the poem's logic, a new soul wearing the same name. Meadow either dies at the diner with her father, or dies as a guardian angel the instant she gives up on the door. Pick your camp. That leaves Carmela, the wife, the mother, the remains. She is the only original member of that family who walks out of season 6 still recognizably herself, and she pays for it by losing every option she had. The chance to be morally cleaner than her husband, the chance to leave, the children she thought she was raising. What she keeps is the house, the name, and the silence. This is the math the opening laid out in the first minutes of the season, and it's the math the show closes on, 20 episodes later, in a New Jersey diner with onion rings on the table. There's a debate, almost 2 decades old now, about whether Tony Soprano dies in that diner. People argue about members-only jackets, about Godfather references, about Bobby's line, about David Chase's interviews. Most of that debate starts in the wrong place. at the diner itself, instead of a full season earlier where the question actually originates. The opening montage already gave you the list: Janice, Bobby, Jean, Meadow, Ray, AJ, Adriana, Carmela, each name announced under a specific soul, in a specific order, with a specific fate that mirrors the line being spoken over them. By the time the screen goes black, every name on the list has already been called. David Chase told you how it ends in the opening minutes of Season 6. He then spent 20 hours watching you not listen. If you've never sat with the opening of Members Only, with the sound up and the subtitles on, do it tonight. Then come back and tell me which reading you take. Meadow as one of the dead, or Meadow as the angel who couldn't get through the door in time. Bottom of the comments. I read all of them.